Hi, James.
Hello, can you see me all right?
Again, thanks for getting here a little early. I always like to open it up, and I'm not sure. I started it as a webinar, so it's already recording and stuff, um, which is fine. I wasn't sure if I should keep it in the test. I can't remember. I haven't done a webinar in here in a while. But anyway, I don't know that I could have brought you in when we were still in the test stage, and I wanted you to be able to come in and share your screen and make sure everything was working.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I have no idea how Zoom works very well, so I'm going to need a lot of your assistance here.
Okay, great. That's why it's good we're here a little early. People probably won't start joining for a little while, and they're very forgiving about all this. So you should have the ability to share your screen. Let me just see. I think you're enabled to. So if you want to go ahead and look at your bottom panel, if you have do you have a slide deck you're going to be presenting?
I do have a slide deck I will be presenting. Let's see how I can get there.
Okay.
So we
So
got
make sure it's
share
up somewhere on your
screen.
desktop. Yeah, and then share screen.
Boom. Let's share that. Okay. Now
Great.
let's
And
see
then
how
you
I
should
can.
be able to advance. Sometimes if you click out of an area, you might have to click back into the area of your screen, and then you should be able to either, I don't know, sometimes the forward arrow does it, sometimes a space button. There you go.
Hey, we're figuring it out. All right, perfect.
Okay.
Excellent.
So the other thing is I'm going to stay with you. I'll go off camera, but I'll stay here. Sometimes it can be hard to moderate the chat while you're presenting, especially once you're in view mode and like full screen mode. Um, so how do you want to do that? Do you want to take questions at the end? Do you want me to monitor the chat for you and say, hey, James, there's a quick question about that slide? Or would you rather me, say it, hey, we're going to do all questions at the end, and then we can look through the chat together and the Q&A together. What's the best workflow for you?
I think it would be best to do a mixture of both.
Okay.
Yeah, especially because I know what happens usually is we're going to go through a ton of information quickly. And I want people to be able to stop and say, hey, I got a quick question about this. Can we just stop here for a second? If a question pops up and you bring it up, I can say, hey, let's hold on to that till a little bit later. Let's get to it a little bit later. Um, but yeah, feel free to jump in. It really the more free form kind of the better. But it is just so much information, and I do this all day, so I tend to go really fast. Um, and I just don't want people to get lost. I want
Okay.
people.
So
I
I'll
want. I
go
want.
ahead. Like
Yeah.
if it seems relevant, like, hey, I have a question, a clarifying question about that slide.
Yes.
And I'm pretty good. I do a lot of these. So I'll try to pop in. That way you can focus on, I mean, you're welcome to review the chat and the Q&A, but if I'm happy to serve as a like support for that so that you can focus on the message you're delivering, the content and the answers. But however, you want to work it is great.
Okay. And then as far as the chat, let me see. So I guess. Oh, I can see the chat up in the corner here.
Yeah, like if you click on the chat,
Um,
sometimes it depends. Like sometimes you can pull it out, but then it's its own thing. And if you go into presentation mode, sometimes that takes up your whole screen, depending on how you have your computer settings. So sometimes I find I get into a presentation and it's hard for me to find the chat and moderate it. And sometimes it's very accessible. So I'm not sure how you're seeing it at your end.
Okay, let me kind of rearrange the desk here just a bit so I can get
Great.
a
And
bit
then I
more.
think we've had several more signed up. Now, people always sign up and then they don't come. We just sent out another reminder. So we sent out a newsletter message earlier today, and then we just did a quick reminder to everyone, hey, remember, it's starting in an hour. And we had 6 more people sign up. So, I think we'll have at least 20. We might have more, and we're going to record it so that we can, have the content. We can discuss what to do with that content if we want to make it available to other people and how that would look. So.
Okay, let's record it and then we'll come back on to how we can present that or send that out because that's now a whole nother
Yeah,
compliance
that's
thing.
stage 2, and we'll deal with that later.
Yeah,
So we
Yeah.
are recording, so we at least have the content. And we have a good number. That's about as many, sometimes we'll see a few more, but that's a pretty good turnout for a weekday night, especially with all the political stuff that's been going on, and we're facing Medi-Cal cuts to acupuncture. So there's like a rally tomorrow. There's a lot of action happening. But I think we'll have a
Oh,
good turnout, so we'll see. There's a lot of
so
interest, I can say
if,
that.
if you could give me some insight into, I've heard a little bit about this. What's kind of the rumblings about the cuts?
Yeah, we do have some attendees here, and just FYI, so I do think like our conversation from here on might be visible to everyone. So the rumblings, just a lot of people in California, Medi-Cal does cover acupuncture benefits,
Yes.
and it has for the last 20 or so years. And last year, the governor single line item just wanted to delete acupuncture within Medi-Cal. We were able to rally and keep it in last year. We're facing the exact same cut this year, just a full cut of Medi-Cal acupuncture benefits. We were informed about it about 10 days ago. We have about 2 weeks till the governor signs in the budget. So that affects our profession, not just for people that take Medi-Cal, but in a broader way for anyone that's taking insurance. This type of cut can make an impact negatively to that. So the profession's rallying around that right now. That's kind of our biggest in-state issue. And so we're signing petitions and having press conferences and a rally tomorrow at the Capitol to do what we can um, to save these benefits. We also took 40 meetings at the Capitol in April in anticipation of these cuts happening. So we
Wow.
did meet with the Senate and Assembly budget committees. We have a tremendous amount of support from the AAPI caucus and the Assembly. We need a little more support from the Senate. So we're working on that and working with our lobbyists. So folks are, there's a lot of talk about that and action happening, and we're hoping for the best. So I'll share a little bit. I'll just talk for like 1 or 2 minutes at the beginning to introduce everything. Um,
Okay, that'd be great because yeah, if I'm just being frank with you, I've kind of turned off the television for a little while.
yeah,
It's not been great. It's not been great.
yeah.
Um,
So I think we're seeing our members are a little bit more pulled in different directions with national stuff,
yeah.
state stuff, as well as just getting by. So I do think we'll have a good turnout. We have 2 attendees already here. I'm gonna, yeah, hi everyone. I think we'll have a hard start at 7. I want to just take 1 minute to introduce you and to just do a quick like CSOMA plug for 1 minute, and then introduce you. I'll just use your bio that we shared, and then I'll hand it over to you, and I'll be here to help moderate and make sure everyone gets their questions answered. And we just can't thank you enough for this.
Well, no, yeah. Thank you for having me on, and thank you for working with my compliance department. They are there's something else, that's for sure.
That's
we
okay. We understand. We
yeah,
we deal with a lot of compliance issues in medicine, and finance is
uh,
certainly the same. And we appreciate you so much. So I'll say, like, if you want, we have, I'll meet you back here in about 8 minutes. We'll just let people continue to join. And I'm gonna go grab a beverage to have with me for the next hour. And we'll do a hard start right at 7, but I'll be back a minute or two before that.
that sounds like a plan.
All right, James, see you in a few.
Bye.
Everyone that's joining, we'll see you in a couple minutes. And James, if you want, just so you know, your video and mic are still both on. You can keep those on if you want, or there is the icons at the bottom, a little video and a little microphone. You can hit those and yeah, there you go. And you can
Uh,
also mute yourself if you want to do that for the next 5 minutes. It's up to you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Just wanted to let you know you're still on camera and mic. So
Got it. Thank you.
that's always when I take a personal phone call and regret not hitting, you know, happened. Yelling at my kids after I, yeah, try
Yeah.
to act all cool. All right, see you in a minute.
Bye.
All right, CSOMA community, I see you all joining. We're going to start in just a minute or two with James. Thank you so much for being here on a Wednesday night to attend a free webinar from CSOMA. We're always trying to deliver quality education that we think really matters to our members and give you guys a free CEU, which we know you need for your licensing renewal. At the end of this webinar, please go back to the email that you received from CSOMA after you registered. And there's a link in that email that will help you access your CEU certificate. You'll have to do a brief survey afterwards, that's required, and then enter your email address. Make sure you have your correct California license number. You'll enter that in once you take that link. I'll repeat all this at the end of the webinar tonight. So you'll go to that link, click on it, you'll enter your first name, last name, your email address, and your California license. And you, once you complete the survey, we will send you your CEU certificate for attending tonight's webinar. We're going to start in just a second. Want to give everyone a heads up. I do hope you're following along to see SOMA's Instagram account, where we have a new campaign running there that hopefully is keeping you well updated about everything that's happening. I'm going to just take 1 minute and let you know that we are fighting hard to make sure that Medi-Cal acupuncture benefits are not removed from the California 25-26 fiscal year budget. The item is earmarked to be deleted by the current governor's budget proposal. We went through this last year. We did a tremendous amount of letter writing, campaigns, press conferences, rallies at the Capitol, tons of meetings with the Senate and Assembly Budget Committee. We were able to keep acupuncture benefits in place for Medi-Cal. They were facing the same thing again this year. It's kind of like Groundhog Day. We're back again in the same position. However, the budget is facing much steeper cuts this year, including reproductive health, childcare. I mean, really just a huge amount of cuts. So it's going to be harder for us to make this case, but we are working hard to do that, not just on behalf of all the patients that we serve who use their Medi-Cal benefits to access acupuncture and Chinese medicine, but because changes in Medi-Cal benefits can affect changes in all insurance delivery in California. So it's important we continue to fight for this. CSOMA did hold a lobby day along with two other organizations, ACAMAC, which is a Southern California-based association that delivers most of their work in Korean, and the AACMA, that's a Northern California Chinese Language Association. The three groups, CSOMA, AACMA, and ACAMAC, have formed a coalition together. We have been meeting for years. We engaged with a lobbyist, Townsend and Associates, a Sacramento-based lobbyist firm. They have been wonderful. They set up a lobby day for us on April 22nd. We're about 40, maybe 50 something actually with students, closer to 60 people attended, and we took over 40 meetings with key decision makers in the assembly and budget committees, the business and professions committees, the AAPI caucus, basically all the people that really affect decision making around our profession. So we anticipated cuts, so we already tried to preempt them with these meetings. We're doing everything we can. Please go to CSOMA's website. Please join our newsletter if you haven't already. There's a petition going. Please sign that petition. Practitioners, patients, family, anyone that loves Chinese medicine and acupuncture can put their name on that petition. And there is a rally tomorrow at the Capitol. Details were in the email that went out today in our newsletter. So anyway, that's a quick update. Please, thank you for being part of CSOMA. Please continue to support CSOMA and thus the California Acupuncture Coalition, as well as the American Society of Acupuncturists. Your membership in CSOMA contributes to both the state CAC lobbying and the national ASA lobbying. So thank you so much for being part of this community. All right, on to better business. I am so excited to, CSOMA is so excited to offer this information to you. It's really important that we're trying to figure out how we save for retirement, what CalSavers program means. We have an expert here with us, James Frame, who is with Equitable Advisors. He works closely with businesses. He focuses on holistic financial planning, retirement benefits, which is what we're here to talk about, buy-sell agreements, executive benefits, insurance needs, financial education. We couldn't be more happy to have an expert here to help unpack CalSavers program with us. And with no further ado, James, I'll be here to help moderate the chat. Please feel free to put questions in the chat or in the Q&A section. We'll either address them at the end, well, James will, or we'll bring it up in a timely way. So do ask questions, and I'll be here. James, thank you so much for being here. I turn it to you.
Ra, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. I'll be honest with everyone on here. I'm not the biggest user of Zoom. We use Teams at my firm quite often. If you have any questions, I do have the chat popped up. So go ahead and feel free to pop in any questions there. If I think it's appropriate to answer at the time, I will answer it. But we'll save it for the end if it's something that I need to be answered at the end. And I can see that the chat is working, Ra, on your end. As we get started, if everyone could put in kind of what their role is if they're the owner of their own practice, if they are just a practitioner themselves, that would be much appreciated. But what I'll do is I'm just going to kind of jump in here. CalSavers is here. It's been up and running here for about the past 4 years. A lot of people are kind of behind on the ball, but first and foremost, I just wanted to thank everyone for coming out. What happened and what happens with most business owners is the state sends out information to all of us. They say, hey, we've rolled out this program. It's called CalSavers. Here's some mail about it. Here's some spam email about it. And a lot of people kind of just throw it away. It kind of looks like junk. You know, they don't have a great PR team, so to speak. So there's probably some people on here that have already, signed up for CalSavers, which is great. And they might not like it. So they're looking for some alternatives. Others have no idea what we're actually kind of talking about. But what I want to do real quickly before we jump in is just do a quick introduction of myself. Let's see if I can get that going. Perfect. So again, my name is James Frame, like a picture frame. I do have the designations of a QPFC and a NQPA. What do those means? I'll get into that shortly, but I am based here out of La Jolla in San Diego. So if you're in San Diego and you want to stop by the office, you're more than welcome to come in. You probably also see that I am a graduate of the Berklee College of Music in Boston. That was a long time ago, but people always have the question, how did you get into finance if you were in music? Long story short, I went to music school. I decided I wanted to become a computer programmer. I became an engineer. As a matter of fact, my senior thesis was creating a machine that turned your brainwave data into musical data so you could create music with your brainwaves. And through that, I got into finance, hence why I am here. But real quick, I joined CSOMA kind of, what was that, 6-7 months ago, for the main reason that I have a lot of passion about acupuncture. My mom was actually a granola mom before that was cool. Before Gwyneth Paltrow made it a whole thing. I used to eat scrambled tofu for breakfast. And I had my first acupuncture session when I was 14. So, a lot of my friends thought that was super weird, but now it's 2025 and a lot of them now go to acupuncture sessions. So I do want to get into a quick explanation about what the qualifications are. What does the NQPA mean? That means non-qualified retirement plans. I'm not going to dive super heavy into that. What that means is that we can create these retirement plans that are not under the provision of the ERISA provisions. That's going to be called the Employee Retirement Income Security Act. I build those out for executives and for very high-paid key persons, but that doesn't really relate to the actual CalSavers plan. What does relate to the CalSavers plan is the QPFC, and that stands for Qualified Plan Financial Consultant. What I do is I help build 401ks, 401as, 403bs for business owners. And it's usually for smaller businesses or closely held businesses, including a lot of law firms. And what that does is it does fall under the ERISA provision. So what that does is it offers creditor protection along with some tax advantages. And that's what we really want to focus on today. Okay. CalSavers would fall under that provision. So that, if that all makes sense, if there's no questions about that, I'm just going to move on. I know it's kind of a lot, but let's just jump into what the actual state mandate states for us here. So we're going to look into the mandatory state plan encroachment. What does this gobbledygook mean? All that this means is that the state of California is now implementing a mandatory retirement plan. Usually California is the first to implement legislation, and we're usually the leader in the overall behavior of the country. In this case, we're not. We're actually behind on the ball a little bit here, but we're rolling it out, and we're rolling out CalSavers. We're going to get into the details of this plan here in just a second, but I do want to give a little bit of history of how we got here and, you know, what's kind of going on. So let me get us on to, there we go, on what's going on in the actual country. Now, if you're taking a look at this, you can probably notice that there's a little bit of politics involved in this. The states that have rolled out mandatory retirement plans are going to be California, Oregon, Washington, Virginia, Illinois, Colorado, Maine, and we got Connecticut. Usually the blue states, right? Who's not rolling them out is going to be Florida, Alabama, South Dakota. Everywhere else on this map has something at least rolling out. So if you look at the yellow states, you know, they've introduced something in the past 10 years, but it's just not enforced yet. The ones that are peach colored or that are pink, you know, they passed the legislation, but they just haven't launched it yet. So the reality is that basically the whole country at some point will have something like this in place, and I'll get to the reasons why. But I just wanted to kind of go over here and look at the right corner of what they actually are. So all of these automatic enrollment retirement plans are either going to be Roth or traditional retirement plans. If you're familiar with either one of those, you know that there's a lot of, there's good things, but there's just a lot of things you can't do. So limits on them, if you will. So like with a Roth, for example, it's only going to be about $7,000. Traditional, same exact deal. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to force people to get into retirement. It's just going to take a long time to get there. All right. So let's kind of jump into the historical context of how we got here and really kind of what the overall game plan is. If you're taking a look and you're seeing that it mentions 2 are MEPs, that refers to multiple employer plan sponsors. We're not going to get into that. That's a little outside the purview of this conversation. But let's kind of jump into more of the historical context here. So if you look at history, legislation changes over time and it changes due to current trends, right? And it used to be that most companies had pensions, right? And now those days are long gone. There's some pensions still, you know, a lot of states still have pensions, say for police officers, teachers still have them, but within the private sector, they're more or less gone. You know, I do a lot of work with police officers and highway patrolmen, and they are very, very grateful that they still have pensions. But in the private sector, we just couldn't afford them. We don't have taxes to come in and actually pay for those pensions. All right. But let's kind of get back into what we're working on here. Currently, we kind of have a wide variety of retirement plans to choose from. We have the 401ks, we have the 457s, we have the 403bs. These are all great things, but they will never take place, the place of the actual pension. That is with the exception of a 403b. We'll get into that, but they are a bit complicated. The reality is that we actually need to focus on creating some retirement accounts for ourselves and for our businesses. All right. So, what does this mean for the legislation? The powers that be, they've realized that, hey, we're about to have a retirement epidemic. If we don't do something, there's going to be a lot of people without any type of retirements, right? When I first started, I started working with mainly people in the military, mainly blue collar people, and the majority of them just don't have robust retirement accounts. Most of them are actually, they're counting on Social Security. If you're paying attention to what's going on in the news right now, we're in a little bit of trouble with our Social Security. And, there's political things that are related to that and what have you. But even without politics included, we're kind of running out of money. And by 2038, the reality is we might have to start cutting into Social Security. And that might be a cut by 25%, unfortunately. So what that means is that a majority of people that are in retirement that are actually counting on that are going to kind of come into a crisis. And they're going to have to take a hard turn and a hard look at the retirement and say, what are we going to do? Everything that we planned on is kind of going away. And it's going to be devastating. And if that happens, the private sector resources will start to get pretty exhausted pretty quickly. So that means food programs will start to run out. That means homeless shelters will start to fill up. So what happened? The power of the bees, they all sat down. They went, hey, we need to create something to actually force people to start saving for retirement. Is it the best solution? No. And there's probably some people on this call right now that really don't like CalSavers or what's being implemented. But the reality is it's kind of what we have to deal with, right? If you're already on top of your retirement, if you already have a plan in place, that's great. But just realistically, we had to do something. So CalSavers was the plan that was rolled out. So let's jump into CalSavers and let's see what this thing actually is. Let's get here. By the way, I do absolutely love this picture of this very happy man. Somehow he's really excited about CalSavers. I think we should all be excited about CalSavers. But let's jump into it. What is CalSavers? It's a state-sponsored retirement program for private sector workers in California. This is available to employers and employees that do not offer a retirement plan yet. So I got my own thoughts on this, but the reality is a lot of small and medium-sized businesses are not able to accommodate their own plans. And because of this, they rolled out the CalSavers plan. In response to this, myself, my firm, we're spreading the news about startup plans and low cost or no cost plans that enable you to create your own plan that does not come with the cons of CalSavers, which we'll get into a little bit later here in a second. There are also tax credits that can be utilized, but are out of the scope of this conversation for right now. If you want to talk about the actual tax credits, please give me a call. They're not as straightforward. I can't just run through a quick analysis of them right now. Just give me a call, say, hey, what credits can I use for my company? But right now, they're just kind of outside the scope of this conversation. But I want to get you to point number 2 here. So in the slide, it states that employers with 5 or more employees must enroll in this program. This is a little bit outdated. Anybody, anybody with a single employer. Someone keeps trying to join the lobby here, but I'm do that. Hold on one second. Is anybody that has more than one employee must enroll in the program or set up a retirement plan. The deadline is December 31st, 2025. This includes if they are part-time. This is a question I get all the time. It says, hey, it's just me. I have, someone that helps out every once in a while. You got to either do CalSavers or you got to set up a retirement plan, okay? Point 3, and this is the important one. Employers who sponsor their own retirement plan must register their exception from the state mandate. Okay, just because you have a plan already in place, you're like, hey, James, I've had something set up for 15 years, 20 years, I'm good to go. That is not the case. You still have to go to the website, you still have to register for it. There's not any real big consequences if you don't. You're just going to get a bunch of paperwork and you're going to get hassled a bunch. I'll show you how to actually go on and get registered and get that exemption in place. But yeah, that's just a big one. Is a lot of people think they're already good to go. Hey, I don't need any more help, right? So point 4, this is kind of the con of the actual plan itself. So it consists of payroll deduction Roth IRAs. This is what we don't like. It's all Roth based, and it only allows a $7,000 contribution. So what does this mean? If you're not sure what Roth contribution means, it means that you pay your taxes, then you put money into the account, unlike a traditional IRA or a traditional retirement account where you can actually take the funds, put them into your retirement account, and then move down your earned income. You're not able to do that. You simply have to take the $7,000 and throw it into the account itself. There is a lot of benefits to Roth accounts. There's a lot of benefits to traditional accounts. My kind of expertise is when I sit down with clients is we build out multiple buckets of retirement funds. So some that are in Roth, some that are in traditional, and then some that are usually within a brokerage account. That's a whole nother subject to itself. But for the conversation of the CalSavers program, it's only gonna be Roth. And the reason that I think they actually did this was for simplicity's sake. They set this up for people that are working at liquor stores, working at ice cream shops. The reality is that they didn't set these up for people that are working, as acupuncturists or have their own practices. They're setting these up for people that are kind of disadvantaged. And they wanted to create a program that is just really easy to set up. Money goes in, they don't think about it, they can move it around. I have my thoughts on this. I wish they didn't set it up that way, but just for simplicity's sake, they made it all Roth accounts. So point number 5, and this is going to be the fun one. You are auto-enrolled at 5%, and it is increased up to 8%. Again, this is kind of where my expertise comes in just a little bit. For most earners, that's not enough. Kind of the rule of thumb is you want to be putting away about 10% into retirement at least. But for the 5%, that's a good start. And then it's going to increase by 1% for each year. For 3 years, up to a maximum of 8%. So it's a good start. I'm glad they're putting this in place. But that's kind of the overall arching theme of what CalSavers is. And I'm not sure I cover the point that it is auto enrollment. Auto enrollment will come up multiple times in this conversation. What they're trying to do is make sure that everyone's forced into this program for a good reason, just to make sure that everyone is putting some savings away. Okay, so let me jump into the overall view of the program here. Before I move on, is there any questions that anybody wants to put in the chat just yet? I know we're moving fast, but I think we're covering everything good so far. Questions and answers.
And James, I just want to mention the chat's working for you and I, but it's disabled for participants because we registered this as a webinar. So people are putting things into the Q&A. I haven't seen anything too pressing come up. We did have someone say that they're a licensed acupuncturist, but they're working in the dietary supplement industry as a regulatory specialist. And that's all we've had so far, no direct questions. So I'll keep monitoring the Q&A for you.
Perfect. Thank you. Perfect, perfect. All right, so let's get into the overview. And this is another kind of benefit of CalSavers. It's going to be just simplicity. So let's kind of get into the employee funded aspect of it. This is completely employee funded, which is great for you, the business owner, unless you're having trouble retaining talent. In that case, you do need to look elsewhere with a matching plan, usually like a 401k or one of the other varieties that are out there. This, you can't do any matching with it. It's only the employees putting the funds with their after-tax Roth funds in there. It is employee participation voluntary completely. So if they don't want to do it, they don't have to do it, but they will still have to opt out every single year, which is a good thing for my opinion. So this update also applies to your current plan. So if you already have a 401k, you already have some type of retirement plan, you should probably sit with us. Let us review your plan that you have in place. If you do not have auto enrollment already set up, you're going to get hit with some type of fine eventually. What they're trying to do again is make sure that everybody is putting some type of money into their actual retirement plans. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Is they're just trying to pressure people, making sure they're putting some money into these things. What will happen is at the beginning of every year is people will forget to opt out of it. They'll get some money taken out. They're going to get upset at you, probably yell at you. It's not your fault. You just got to say, hey, that's CalSavers' fault. Go yell at them, and I'll take care of that problem. So, after the initial enrollment, employees may come in and out of the actual program. It's up to them. So if they say, hey, I love saving this money, I'm glad I'm doing it, it's great, but they are able to get out of the program at any point, they will be auto-enrolled at the beginning of every single year, but again, they can just opt out. It's completely up to them. Number 4, and this is a big sticking point for me, and we'll kind of jump into this a little bit later, is this is administered by a private sector financial services firm overseen by a public board. So my kind of thoughts on this is, first off, I would have loved to have been that firm, but I am going to stop here for a second. I'm not supposed to ever say anything disparaging about another financial institution. But what I can say is, if you have some time at some point, you may want to Google CalSavers and just see what the reviews are, see what the general population saying about it so far. It might be a bit interesting. And we might just so happen to see that page when we jump on and I show you how to get to CalSavers here in a little bit. So the employer role, this is a really big one for you. If you are the employer, it's so simple. All you got to do is you just have to upload employee information into CalSavers. It's that easy. It's kind of like loading the information or having HR loading the information for a 401k. You can automatically enroll employees and track and opt out in elections, that's super nifty. You don't have to talk with anybody else. it's already tracked within the actual website itself. And then you can also submit participation employee contributions to CalSavers via payroll. This isn't as straightforward as it sounds. Again, you do actually have to put steps. You do have to get your payroll. You do have to submit it to CalSavers. It's not done for you automatically. That is the one caveat. But again, if you don't have a payroll solution or an HR solution, give me a call. I can connect you with some people that are fair and have a good price. There are no fees for employees to facilitate the program, and employers are not fiduciaries of the program. This is huge. I don't know if you are familiar with the fiduciary roles that come with 401ks and 403bs. This does put you in kind of some legal hot water if you don't do this stuff correctly. Part of my job as a fiduciary is I do have to look after a lot of things. There's a lot of rules and regulations that I have to go by that if you're not familiar with can get you in trouble, specifically when you're selecting the type of investments that are utilized for the actual retirement programs. If you utilize this program, the CalSavers program, you don't have to worry about any of that, as the financial services firm selected by CalSavers takes on that responsibility. A lot of their selections of investments aren't the greatest in the world, but they're not the worst in the world either. So if you don't want to take on that responsibility, you don't have to, but you're also not able to put away as much money as you could in a different type of program. So that's the general overview. Again, it's the state of California just trying to keep stuff simple for you, keep something straightforward. It's want to keep this easy.
James, we just have one quick question that might be relevant for now or either at the end, which is coming from Leah Kelly. I contribute to my Roth IRA with my CPA yearly. How is CalSavers different from that?
So it's pretty much there's almost no difference. The difference would be the type of investments that you can get into. So usually CPA will have basically a more of a selection of stuff you can actually select from. The ERISA regulations and the DOL regulations are not they're much more strict than working with your CPA. Your CPA probably is working with a financial advisor or a third-party administrator that's saying, hey, here's a bunch of stuff. Where with that type of Roth IRA, you can choose whatever you want. When you go with a company or if you go with CalSavers, they're going to have probably about 20 different mutual funds that you can go with, and that's it. So the DOL and the ERISA regulations really clamp down on what we can offer you as far as investments. With your current Roth IRA with your CPA, you can basically invest in whatever you want.
Great, that's so helpful. And she was just clarifying that she's a sole practitioner with no payroll to be responsible for other than to her own self. So,
in that case, I would recommend at some point probably opening up a solo 401k. That'd probably be a good one to do as well. Okay, let's jump into real quickly here. Deadlines, we're here. It doesn't really matter. I just for interest's sake, what happened in 2020 was, all these people that had more than 100 employees, all these big box locations, all of the supermarkets we went to, a lot of them weren't signed up for this, and they got hit with massive fines. This is when a lot of financial advisors and financial firms started to get wind of this because they saw all the different fines that were going out. And it was, to us, not funny, but just very interesting watching all these news coming out of Walmart getting hit, Target getting hit, massive fines here and there. And so that's when people became very aware of the CalSavers program. During 2021, this is when a lot of more closely held businesses started to get hit. That wasn't too much fun. that's when we start having a lot of people reaching out to us to help open up their retirement plans for them. And then 2022, when it was, 5 people or more, again, a lot of people started reaching out to us. And then now the final deadline, December 31st, 2025, it's all of us. If you have one single employer, you gotta sign up for CalSavers, or you gotta set up a retirement plan. It's the time is now. Just a heads up, if you do have, say, more than 14 employees, 15 employees, these can take some time to set up correctly. They can take time to work with your HR department. Sometimes these can take, 4 to 6 months to open up. It can get quite complicated, but I just wanted to give you that heads up. All right, let's jump into the actual juicy stuff here. All right, I might lose some of you guys here because we're going to move here pretty fast. You are exempt if you have a qualified annuity plan, a 403A, a 403B tax sheltered annuity plan. If you got a SEP plan, and we're going to jump into that in just a second because that's going to be applicable for a lot of you. You are exempt if you have a simple IRA plan. That's going to be for a lot of you here as well. You are exempt if you got a 401A qualified plan, and you're exempt if you got a 401k plan. The keynote there is also including multiple employer plans or pooled employee plans. These are relatively new plans that have been rolled out. They're great. They're really cheap, but they're just not, a lot of people don't know about them just yet. Most people know about the 401k plan. And then, of course, last but not least, we have the payroll deduction IRA with automatic enrollment. What is that? That's the CalSavers plan, but you can just do it with a traditional IRA as well. So let me kind of jump in here to give you some explanations of what these are. I'm not going to do these in order necessarily, but I'll kind of highlight right here with my trusty little mouse right here. We're going to jump into the 401k plan first. This is what most companies kind of set up for a variety of reasons. The reason they do that is because you can actually offer employee matching. So if you want to keep some key employees and you want to do a matching of, say, a 3% or a 5% matching, that's a really great way that you can actually retain employees. You can also create vesting schedules. If you don't know what a vesting schedule is, what that means, you can say, hey, I'm going to pay you X amount of dollars, but you have to work for me for, say, 3 years in order to get that retirement funds. If you don't work for me for 3 years, you're not going to get that retirement funds. It's called a vesting schedule. Very, very popular. You can create these in a Roth manner or a traditional manner. So if you want it pre-taxed or after tax, you can build it in both ways. And that's what makes it also very, very popular. The big thing about this is you can actually contribute up to $23,500. So with your IRA, like the example was just given, you can only give $7,000 in contributions to your retirement. If you open up a 401k, you can contribute $23,500 every single year up until you're 50 years old. Then you can add in an additional $7,500 to catch up. So that's one of the big advantages of the actual 401k plan. Along with that, there's usually a wide variety of investments that you can choose from. If you've ever worked for a company, a corporation, that's we all have the 401k. That's kind of the more traditional thing that we look at. The 403b plan, if you're set up as a nonprofit, which a lot of you guys are set up as nonprofits, my acupuncturist is set up as a nonprofit, you can actually use what's called a 403b, and it's a tax sheltered annuity plan. They're almost exactly like a 401k plan, but you can set them up like an annuity. And with the annuity, you can actually make it into kind of like what's a pension plan, meaning you would get guaranteed payment for the rest of your life. It's a little complicated. It's a little out of the scope of this conversation. If you do have if you have your practice set up as a nonprofit, reach out to me. We should cover this together. They're very interesting, and you can still do the contribution limits of $23,500. The other plans, 457, I'm going to skip that one. I'm going to skip into the other plans that I think most people on this call could probably utilize a bit better. If you are a self-employed person, the SEP plan might be better for you. And there's a reason for this. These were set up to try to help people that work by themselves. You know, they're not a company's not giving them the extra money. So the government came in and said, hey, you know what? If you set up a SEP IRA, we will allow you to put away 25% of your total compensation in your retirement up to $70,000. So versus the 401k and the 403b that has the 23,500, you can now actually put away $70,000 a year for your retirement. Now, here's the kind of kicker on this. If you do have employees, they cannot put money away in this. Only you can put money away for them. So that's the one big issue if you do have an employee, is that these are employer contribution plans only. Okay, that's the big restriction. And the one big caveat as well is that there is no vesting with these. The second the money is put away in a retirement account, they are immediately vested. So if you're trying to keep a key employee, this would not be the plan for you. But I just want to point this one out for people on this phone call. You know, if you are self-employed, you have your own practice, this might be something to write down. Give me a phone call and let's have a talk about setting that up for you. The other one is going to be the simple plan, the savings and incentive match plan for employees or small employers IRA plan. My simplest explanation of this is basically a 401k plan for people with less than 100 employees. It's almost exactly the same way as a 401k, where you can still put away the $23,500, but there is a caveat on this one as well. In order to utilize the simple plan, you must have a match contribution or a fixed contribution. So in the way that a 401k plan happens where, hey, we'll match 3%. So if you put 5% away in your retirement, we'll give you 3% just to keep you as an employee. In a simple plan, it's the same exact idea. You must offer a 3% match or a 4% match plan for them. The big thing is you cannot have more than 100 employees. The second you have more than 100 employees, you must now move up to the 401k. The big difference, though, with these, again, with a simple plan is you don't have to go through the yearly audit. You don't have to pay tens of thousands of dollars to get it set up. They're super easy to administer. It's basically a few pieces of paperwork and you're done. So that's a really, really popular plan for small businesses as well. All right. Let me kind of do a quick recap for you here. So what we have is we got the 401k, we got the solo 401k, we got the 403b, we got the SEP, we got the simple, we got the PEP. Again, these are all based on how you want to register as a business. If you have questions about these, please give me a call. We'll sit down, see if this actually fits what you need. If it's not what you need, let's get you to CalSavers, okay? All right. So slide 8, let's jump into the juicy stuff, the stuff we all want to know. James, what happens if we do not comply? If you do not comply, it is going to be $250 per eligible employee if non-compliance extends past 90 days or more after the notice. If found to be non-compliant 180 days or more after notice, an additional penalty of $500 per employee will be applicable as well. Now, you're probably sitting here going, James, that's not really that big of a deal. That's super annoying, but I thought it'd be a lot more than this. Well, if you were a bigger business and you had 20,000 employees, this would be a big deal. But you know what? It's still an annoyance. And the reality is over time, they're going to raise these prices more and more. I can't say, I don't have a crystal ball. I can't say exactly what's going to happen, but these will over time rise. There will be more things that they're going to, more penalties they're going to put into place to try to get you to actually set up a plan. They just want you to set up a plan for your employees or yourself to get some retirement going. But let's jump into the last part here. I know we want to get into how we actually jump in. You know what might be actually easier? It might be easier if I actually just jump on the website itself. Let's see if I get on the CalSavers website itself. Yeah, that might be easier. And I'll just kind of guide you guys through on what to actually do here. And CalSavers, boom. And can you tell me if you can see the site popping up or not?
Yeah, so go ahead and hit share screen again and then select. It's looking good so far.
Boom.
We're seeing your Google page.
Okay, great. And so as we can see, CalSavers, we can see all the reviews. Like I said, wasn't going to talk smack on them, but there it is. We got 1 star. So if you want to jump on the CalSavers, just jump on the website. That's it. If you're a saver, all you got to do is set up your account. Again, that's the beauty of this. That's the simplicity of this. If you just want to do this, it's so simple. It's really easy. If you are a employer, it's going to be the exact same deal. Just jump on there, add your information in, you're good to go. Like I said, though, if you want customer service, if you want someone to pick up the phone and have a friendly voice, maybe not the best option for that one, right? All right, so let me get back into what we were showing here. Share screen.
And James, just to clarify, so many of acupuncturists, many are nonprofits. A lot are also sole proprietors.
Yes.
So they haven't incorporated, they're functioning as their own corporation. This is still required of us if we run our own practice and are sole proprietor and don't employ anyone else, just ourselves. Just to understand, this is still required that we engage in something by the end of December of this year?
No. So as long as you don't employ anybody else, it's just you as a practitioner, you're fine.
Okay. But one
Yeah.
employee, if we have even one employee part-time,
One single
we're
person.
required. Okay.
That's it. Yep. And of course, as a financial advisor, I'm going to recommend you set up a retirement account, of course, but I totally get it. Yeah, 100%.
And is that true if we're hiring someone, only if we're hiring them as a W-2 or W-4 employee, not as a 10 90 a contractor? If we're hiring someone as a contractor, we're not required to do this, but if we hire them as an actual employee, we are.
Correct.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
Yep. But yeah, it's even the part-time that's what throws a lot of people off. It's just the part-time aspect of it. Okay, and registration, blah blah blah. Okay, so how we can help? We went over all this stuff. I think we went over the enrollments. We went the deadlines, the tax credits that are available. Those will probably start running out in a year or two. Um, I think we're all good so far. If the majority of you guys are sole practitioners, that's great. One thing that I have seen happen though is that there will be groups of practitioners that will all come together to create a company, and they're all partners within the group, right? And then they'll have one person that's actually used that's helping with payroll. Well, now that partnership has turned into a company that actually needs to set up a retirement account for the one person doing payroll. That seems to be a really popular practice here in San Diego, where there'll be 4 or 5 practitioners, but then they'll have one building where they all come together as a group or another company. And that's where the legal stuff gets a little sticky, if that makes sense. And then I think we are coming to the end. Yeah, everyone, thank you for coming on. I hope I gave some insight. I know CalSavers is confusing. I know that it's all happening very quick. I just wanted to give everybody a heads up. Make sure you're in good order. I just don't want you to get hit with a $500 or $250 fine for no reason. We don't have to pay it.
This is so helpful. So I'm wondering, I'm sure there's some questions that are coming in now. So I'm seeing a couple. Someone's asking, Laura's asking if you could go back to the contact info page and maybe keep that up. There you go. You guys, James is a wonderful consultant to talk to. He's joined CSOMA, has been a CSOMA member for a while now, to support our profession, and wants to be available to help us do better business and make sure we're taking care of our older selves, our future selves, as well as meeting requirements that are here now. So do reach out to James with questions or concerns. What else? How does this speak to all of you? Is this new information? Have you been already getting this messaging about what's required of you? Is there anyone out there that this will uniquely affect, or that, you didn't realize you had to meet this requirement? Kind of curious to learn more about that. And if you want to talk, I can also bring you, you can raise your hand, and then you can just talk so you don't have to type it out if you want to share with the group, because we're going to learn from each other here and help each other. So anyone that's willing to share in these last few minutes, or have more questions. So Laura, can I bring you on for a second and just let you, not to put you on the
Sure.
spot, but
Sure.
it's more fun that way. So
I guess, yeah. Okay.
So Laura, so you were saying this is all new to you, haven't had any information about this?
No, not at all, but it's good to know about it. And good to get a little rundown of the different kinds of retirement plans that are used by employers too. Because I'm a financial newbie. I know nothing.
Yeah.
Well, we always welcome financial newbies. We welcome everybody. There's so much out there, and the CalSavers program, as much as I love the state of California, we are very, very bad at getting news out to everyone. So I've had a lot of people come out, go, what's this CalSavers program thing? What are you talking about? It's like, yeah, it's been out for 4 years, but I mean, we don't put posters up. We don't run advertisements on it. That costs us as the taxpayers to get that information out. So it's my job to get it out in front of people and make sure everyone's prepared for it.
Oh, I see. That's good to know, because I just thought I was going to learn about how to put money aside pre-tax. I didn't know what was going to be.
Hey, I can do that for you too. Take my phone number down and give me a call, and we'll sit down and talk about that as well.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you.
Thanks, Laura. Thanks for letting me put you on the spot. It's always more fun when it's not just me and James talking. So,
Of course, no problem. Yeah.
hey, anyone else out there? I'm seeing another Q&A. Leah, I'm going to bring you on to go ahead and ask your question. Thanks for joining us.
Hello, thank you.
Hi.
Yeah, this is very enlightening to know that I have an option of adding a 401k, and maybe my understanding is that a 408k SEP plan, because I am self-employed, if that's more appropriate, I don't know, but I don't know. Let me know.
Yeah, definitely take my information down and reach out to me. But yeah, there's small differences between a solo 401k and a SEP.
Oh,
They're very similar. It's just based on what your taxes are. We'd have to sit down for probably 20 minutes and say, all right, this is probably the easier one to set up. And then there's also differences on the investments and what investments you can utilize based on which plan you choose.
got it.
Yep.
Thank you so much. I haven't heard about this, so thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for being here, Leah. Thanks for coming on for a
Of
minute and
course.
making it more fun. Okay, last thoughts. We have a few more minutes together to learn from each other. So what other questions do you have? If you have a question, chances are at least two other people in this room have the same one. Okay. Island, I'm going to bring you up because you have a nice complicated question. So I'm going to bring you on up if you're willing to share it verbally. That would be amazing.
I don't have a question. I'm sorry, let me mute myself here. Okay, can you hear me? Okay. I don't really have a question. It's just there are lots of questions about how I'm going to save, right? Because I have annuities, so I have to look at that and determine if it falls into the category of the 403B or whatever it is. And then do I do a SEP in the future or do I continue with another annuity? Because I like the payment.
So it's kind of a loaded question, and I'll stop you there for a second. When the annuity, is that the annuity from an employer, or was that purchased with non-qual funds?
That was rolled over from a 401k and a Roth IRA.
Okay, so you rolled the 401k, the Roth IRA into an annuity, and did you are you in the state of California? I'm losing you
Yes,
there.
I am in the state of California.
Okay. Did you happen to annuitize the annuities themselves, or are they still just growing?
Can you say that again?
So as far as the annuities, you rolled over the 401k and the IRA into an annuity. Did you by any chance annuitize that, or are they still in the growth the growth phase?
I did both. So I think it was one. I'm sorry, I'm doing dual.
I would highly, highly, highly recommend taking my information down and talking with me offline. So in the state of California, there's some things you don't want to do with annuities. We'll talk about this off camera, but yeah. And then as far as setting up your own annuity, if you want to set up like a 403B, if you want to do that as a nonprofit, the way that you do that is you don't technically set them up as an annuity. In the state of California, unfortunately, the taxes are not favorable for annuities. What you actually kind of do is a little bit of a trick where you treat them like a CD, but you don't annuitize them. And it gets a little complicated, but I mean, I could go down a rabbit hole here for a second, but let me just do this real quick for you. So, with an annuity, that's all tax deferred growth, which is great, right? But the problem is that once you actually take funds out of an annuity, it becomes earned income. So you're utilizing it for the non-taxable event. Like if you got a CD, you'd have to pay taxes on that growth every single year. With an annuity, you're not doing that. The unfortunate issue is that when you actually do take the funds out, it is taxed as earned income. It's not taxed as capital gains. So as you could, I know we're running out of time here. I would definitely take down my phone number and call me and we'll sit down and have a conversation about it. But as far as setting up another type of account for your own practice, based on whether it's a nonprofit or a for-profit, we could look at the different ones. But I would highly recommend us sitting down at some point this week or next week and looking at that.
Great question. Thank you, Mylan. We have one last question before we close out tonight. It's coming from Katie. Katie, I'm going to bring you on to go ahead and ask your question if you're willing.
Hi, yes. So, as a sole employee of my own corporation, when would having a solo 401k make sense or be appropriate as opposed to something like a SEP?
I mean, it really depends on how much money you're kind of bringing in, right? And it depends on if you ever want to bring on any other employees, the SEP would be more, would be more appropriate. For a solo 401k, that's it. If it's only going to be you forever, it's going to be the solo 401k, and that'd be great. But if you ever want to bring on any type of employee at all, you'd want to look at a SEP.
Got it.
Fantastic. Well, clearly there's a lot for all of us to learn. And it's never too late to become financially literate, as I'm finding out in my 50s now and getting a little better at it. And I'm surprised I started in this journey pretty heavily about a year and a half ago and have accomplished a lot in the last year and a half. I have a long way to go, but in terms of jiggling around the resources I do have to maximize it, I've realized that it's never too late for us to start this. This is not the type of education that we get in medical school. It is essential to us to make sure that we're thriving as practitioners, that we're taking care of our future selves. We will continue to deliver more content like this. James, I can't thank you enough for taking so much time to put together this presentation for CSOMA. I know you had to go through a lot of checks and balances to make sure that that everything was appropriate. And we are so grateful for you to take an interest in the acupuncture profession the way you have, to support CSOMA and our profession by being a member, to put the time together to educate us on this and be here tonight, and to make yourself available for follow-up questions to attendees at this event. So
If I could say one thing, I want to thank all of you as well. Growing up, I had a lot of trouble and pain in my back. I had a lot of trouble sleeping. I went to a lot of doctors, and like I said, my mom that made tofu scrambles insisted that I go to an acupuncturist, and it worked wonders. So I thank all of you as well.
thank you. Thank you for that. That probably helps us understand why you have such a unique interest in our profession, that you've gone above and beyond in these ways. And we're so grateful. Let us know if you guys want more content like this. We do have a student loan workshop happening in June. Please also save the date, especially if you're in Northern California or you want to visit the Bay Area. CSOMA is hosting a conference in Oakland at the Oakland Endowment on Thursday and Friday, August 14th and 15th. We're putting together an amazing lineup of speakers for you all then. So come on out at the end of summer break and spend time in community with other acupuncturists. Please go and sign this petition. You can access it either through CSOMA's website or through newsletters that you've received. Stay tuned for more actions that we can take as a profession. Over the next week or two, we may need to do some letter writing campaigns and get some testimonials from patients to really help decision makers in Sacramento know that the $8 million that they spend to keep Medi-Cal benefits for acupuncture is more than worth it, that it saves the state so much money. It's a huge return on investment for the amazing care we deliver, but we have to make sure they understand that. So we need all of our voices to be heard. Thank you for your membership in CSOMA. And please make sure you collect your 1-hour CEU certificate by going to the registration link that was sent to you after you registered. CSOMA sent a follow-up email. In that, you'll see where to take a link. You'll need your first name, last name, an email address. Make sure you enter your email address the right way or you won't get the CE certificate, and make sure you have the correct California ID, your license ID to populate the CEU certificate. I want to thank Kim Newman from CSOMA for coordinating all this, and Julie Tran, who's in the audience here, who is serving as CSOMA's amazing president and has helped bring in a lot of this information and the importance that we become financially literate as a profession. So want to thank everyone for joining tonight. James, any last thoughts for us?
Nope. Thank you all for your time, and I hope you have a good rest of your afternoon or nighttime at this point.
Right, everyone. Take care. We'll
Have a
see you
good one.
soon. Thanks for
Bye.
joining tonight. Be well. Happy Wednesday. James, thanks again.
Of course. Bye.